Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. It's Wednesday, the 31st of August, last day of the month, 2022. Time for the Hurricane Outlook and discussion. And once again, I've got a jam-packed version of it here for you. A lot to talk about. We're going to end August with nothing. No named storms, no hurricanes, no ace points added. But I think September is going to be a lot more active. And I mean, come on, if anything at all forms, it's going to be more active. I get that. But I'm looking at some indications that suggest as we get into the middle part of the month and then through the end of the month and into October that we could be looking at a very busy time and could have some impacts. I mean, it is not over until it's over. I know that's cliche, but, well, let me just present the evidence, shall we? Let's just do that. Yes, let's get on with it. First, in the Atlantic Basin, 91L down here, well on its way to trying to become slowly a tropical depression or tropical storm. 93L way up here in the North Atlantic between, 35 and 40 degrees of latitude. And then this system, not quite an invest area yet. I guess that would be 94L eventually off the coast of Africa. That does have some potential, only about a 50-50 shot over the next several days. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Pacific, this one system here, I forget what invest number it is, but that's okay. Well, on its way to developing, should stay off the coast of Mexico, including the Baja Peninsula. But then this, we're going to have to really watch this closely in the coming days. And of course, I will show you why. Satellite animation this afternoon, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. Let's go from west to east. There's our system in the Eastern Pacific. I think it's 92E, if memory serves. We'll watch this. We're going to watch this area too, starting to come together. Not much going on around here. Some questions this morning after I posted the What's Up segment. Why didn't you mention that? Well, there's not much there to mention. Yes, there are some clouds, showers, and thunderstorms, but nothing that seems to be organizing into a tropical system at all. I'll prove it to you on the Vorticity signature shortly as well. This is our stalled frontal boundary sitting out here, and it stretches all the way across the Atlantic. There's 93L up there. There's 91L there. Soon to be 94L, I guess. And then, believe me, there is plenty of other action here over Africa where conditions are favorable for the production of some pretty robust tropical waves. And then there's this over in the Western Pacific, our typhoon out there, no longer a super typhoon because it has weakened due to some interaction with this, a tropical depression down here, plus it's gone through this eye wall replacement cycle. That, folks, is a very complex thing to explain to people. Why, once you get a well-developed eye wall, sometimes it will collapse and then another one will form. I mean, even the top minds in the world are still trying to figure out, why do they do this? Why can't hurricanes, typhoons, they're all the same thing, just stay in a steady state? A lot of theories about it, but whatever. For our purposes here, it went through an eye wall replacement cycle. The inner, very intense eye wall collapsed as an outer eye wall or wind maxima developed, and now that will start to contract over time, and it has weakened and unraveled a little bit. Some of the energy is spreading out. It'll contract again later. It's going to do this weird dance out there. I'll show you that in a minute. And it's going to be quite intense as it pushes up against potentially the Korean Peninsula, and I can show you that right here. Well, let's get rid of the telestration, shall we? This is the Western Pacific. There's the Korean Peninsula. Let's use a color that will stand out better, shall we? There we go, Korean Peninsula. Our islands of Japan over here. There's the typhoon. And then here's this other disturbance, a tropical depression, if you want to call it that. I guess it is. And these are all kind of interacting with each other. It's just a very complex setup over there. Fascinating for weather geeks all over the world. And then it's going to have impacts. Look at what happens here. This is the GFS. We move it out into time. This is 48 hours out. It gets larger. It sort of absorbs that depression, and then it starts to change its path, moving up to the west side of the southern islands of Japan there. And then eventually, look at that, 925, 930 millibars as it approaches South Korea there, and then on beyond to the west of Japan. I mean, you don't want to wish this on anybody, but, you know, what if it is a little bit more east and hits South Japan here dead on? We really have to watch this. This could be a major news story over here, no matter who it impacts. And I don't think there's any scenario where it comes and just misses everybody. I think that's too late because of the strong ridging that is set up here over the western Pacific. That should keep it tucked in here close to China and then eventually the Korean Peninsula. So something to watch. And then it's going to get up into the jet stream area, and a couple of people tweeting about that earlier today, and it's going to have all kinds of funky influences on the pattern, and that could be enough to literally shake things loose across the northern hemisphere, spilling over into the western hemisphere in terms of how we look at the weather, right? This is in the northern hemisphere, of course, but then all that energy gets in there, kind of fiddles with the jet stream a little bit, just the overall wave pattern. It starts to get really interesting and really complex, and sometimes you just need a little jiggle in the atmosphere, so to speak, and it shakes things up just enough that you then reset the system and things start to become more interesting, so to speak. I should do air quotes, right? On the Atlantic side, some of this could be connected 6 to 10 days down the road. So that's something we'll be watching for in due time. All right, vorticity, yeah, a little bit in the Caribbean, but nothing at all. I mean, look, there's 91L there. This is, I'm assuming it's Eastern Pacific, invest area 92E. I think that's what it is. That's what that looks like, right? And that's not happening over here. Now, yes, there is convection down there. And anybody out there on a boat, yacht, whatever the case may be, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? If only. Yeah, you do have to watch out for that convection down there, showers and thunderstorms and gusty winds, but no, nothing is developing. Meanwhile, this is 93L. Lots of areas of vorticity out here, aren't there? Anyway, there's 93. This could soon be 94. Look at that. That's pretty sharp there. Really starting to come together, it seems. Down at the lower levels, remember, this is 850 millibars, or about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. The lower part, the atmosphere is made up of layers, and down near the surface, this is what I like to look at the most, because if this is there, that is your foundation to build from at the very least. And so there's our players. Those are our chess pieces. Whatever. That's where they are. All right. This, what I'm going to show you next, this is huge, in my opinion. I forgot about this. There are a lot of different sea surface temperature products out there, from private companies that put them out like Weather Models or Weather.us, or they may be the same thing. Anyway, I can't remember who's who. Weather Nerds has them. Sometimes they're built in, the isotherms into the satellite pictures. There's a lot of products. This one has been around a long time, and it is the National Hurricane Center analysis based on the Reynolds method, Dr. Richard Reynolds. That's a whole long story, but the bottom line is we got this map, and it shows us the actual sea surface temperatures. And this is very important. Follow along, because this is huge. There's Africa right there, all right? We all can agree on that. This is the Iberian Peninsula making up Spain and Portugal. And then here's Newfoundland and Nova Scotia and the east coast of the good old US of A. Follow me so far? Now, let's use white. No, let's use blue. Blue will outline the 26 degrees Celsius isotherm line of equal temperature, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly. We'll just round it up and call it 80 Fahrenheit. There it is. Everything south of that blue line, for the most part, I think just about everything, is warm enough to support tropical cyclone activity from a sea surface temperature perspective. Sometimes you can get them over cooler sea surface temperatures if your instability aloft is a lot more. That's more in the colder months. We're not even going to go there right now. Right now, objectively speaking, the background state, sea surface temperature-wise, even way up here in the northern Atlantic, is absolutely warm enough to support hurricanes. Yes, the H word, hurricanes. Now, what is the big gotcha on this? Let me get rid of me for my big reveal. That's the actual sea surface temperatures with the isotherms, the lines of equal temperature. This is the anomaly. Brace yourselves. Ready? Bam! Oh, it's just so glaring to me. It's like, how come I didn't see this weeks ago? Some people did, and now I'm picking up on it. I love the collective, sort of the way you can form a consensus, learn from people. Well, what is it? What am I looking at? You might be asking. Those are the anomalies up here, and this is a weekly average, all right? So there's not necessarily this bias of, well, it's a data set from before global warming, or it's whatever. This is a 1 week average, and this is a great representation, and this just screams, well, there's your problem. The North Atlantic is so much warmer than it should be that it seems to be, you don't ever say absolutes in science until something's at 100% when you're dealing with probability anyway. But it's as close to absolutely the smoking gun, I think, that we could ask for. The imbalance here, all of this warm water relative to average, distorting the whole system. And I talked about that yesterday, but this is even more evidence of it. And, very important, the deep tropics are also fairly warm compared to average. But the North Atlantic is so overwhelming and it's so vast that the pattern has been distorted, and we're getting all these weird things with dry air, the sinking air, the wave breaking as we call it, so that we don't have this perfect large area of subtropical ridging sitting out here. The waves, as we call them in the atmosphere, you get this wave breaking that goes on. It's complex, but it's also very simple. Instead of a big fat ridge, the big Hadley cell setup, we're getting these areas where they're fractured, and you're allowing these areas of lower pressure to work down in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. That tut, as we talk about, gets carved out through here. Upper level lows go backwards in it. It just gets all funky. It's just all screwed up. Now, like I said yesterday, something could come along and start to disrupt this. And, like truly mechanical, I don't know, a hurricane or two. And we're going to be moving towards fall and a disruption, maybe more storminess in the northern latitudes. Cold fronts start to come down. The change of the seasons is a change in the pattern. You shake things up again. It's like that snow globe. It's all sitting there. You shake it up and it gets all chaotic. I think things are going to start to change, and we're going to see more activity down here in the coming weeks. Hurricane season is not going to be denied. It's going to be delayed, and that is my professional opinion. I really think that. I could be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong. We have to be skeptical in science and question things. We do. You're never at 100% until it's raining, and then it's 100%, right? Should be a great t-shirt. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because I thought, oh, there you go. Now, what does it matter? Well, you look at this, also actual sea surface temperatures, these, of course, in the Gulf of Mexico, 30 Celsius pretty much everywhere, a few breaks here and there, but then these 31 Celsius close to Florida. I mean, really, we do have to worry. I hate that word, though. It's just not the best, but we do have to keep a wary eye that something does develop down here, comes through here like this, maybe in late September or October, anytime really, or just anything trekking through the Florida Straits towards Louisiana or Texas, or something coming up like another Michael type situation. There is plenty of fuel down there. I just don't want people to say August was a bust, nobody knows what they're talking about, hurricanes, schmurricanes, I'm hanging it up. I don't think people actually do that. I think even if they say it, they still look under the rock, so to speak, and see what's under there. You know you do. But there's also, we don't want to hype it up. And if I saw, there's a big El Nino, the westerly winds are just screaming through the tropics, the tropical waves are moving across at 25 knots, nothing in the modeling, then I would say we're pretty much free and clear except for that one rogue Andrew type situation. I honestly believe we're going to have a busy September lasting into October, and the evidence, I think, shows that to some extent. It's not perfect. It's not a great correlation, but I think it makes sense that I'm not just making stuff up here or seeing something that's not there. The typhoon and all that that's going to do potentially, and then when I show you this, what that could do with 91, 93 up here, invest areas, right? There is definitely the opportunity to change the pattern up here and maybe take some of that energy out of the North Atlantic. So let's take a look at it. Let's move it. All right. GFS, 850 millibars, 12Z run from today. These are your two areas to keep an eye on. I think it's very plain to see. 93 and 91 respectively. I'll move this out into time. Look at that. GFS develops both of them. They mill around in the North Atlantic for a while. I tweeted earlier that it makes an interesting face here by about day 10 or so. See right there? That's kind of odd looking, like an eyeball, some kind of a weird mouth. And that's the Atlantic smiling at us saying, trolled you, gotcha. But that's huge. It really is. Joking aside, the GFS taken at face value, this is far out in time, almost 10 days out. I get that. But if this happens, where are those located? Well, let's look at what Dr. Cowan set up for us. 39 degrees north latitude. The other one, almost the exact same latitude, 39 degrees north. Let's go back to our map that I just showed you, these anomalies here. 39 degrees north. There's 40 right there. So these would be milling around in this area, taking some of that heat out. And if you take the GFS and just keep going with it, why not, right? It takes it all the way up there through all of that area. Yeah, then we could start to knock some of that heat down, potentially, especially, look how large it is. What a huge wind field. That will absolutely start to take out some of that heat content. And then the balance becomes more in favor of focusing the upward motion, and the instability, the thermodynamics get better, less sinking air down here, and these tropical waves that will keep coming off could become a problem. That's my theory. I think it makes sense. Now, just to be fair and balanced, as they say at a certain news network, the euro, I tell you what, if we could just get the models to agree, wow. So the euro doesn't really show the same kind of thing, does it? This goes out to 10 days, and I'm just showing you out to 10 days because it's like bang my head on my desk here. It's annoying because they don't have too much agreement. It kind of makes 91L sit out here forever and a day, develops a new system coming off. At least that makes my theory look pretty good about, well, we're still going to have something out there. 93L goes on to disrupt the pattern a little bit up here, but what's up with 91? Why doesn't it get out of the pattern? The UK Met, I think, does a similar thing. So, some discrepancy in the modeling for sure. Now, I do want to go back, because this is also important, and show you the Eastern Pacific. Because here, we might have a real big impact where people are, including my people, some good people that I know, Brent and his family. Brent is one of our colleagues, one of our Patreon supporters, and we refer to him often as our MacGyver. He can put together whatever you need out of a gum wrapper, a couple of sticks, some rubber bands, and a hairnet, and you've got yourself whatever. He's pretty darn good. He's going to be in Cabo soon for a wedding. He's in Phoenix now. Him and his family all flying down there to Cabo San Lucas, where, by the way, that's right there. They're going to have to really watch out over the next few days. This is the euro. And it's weird because I'm going to show you the euro for something in the Pacific that I have confidence in, but the same euro I don't have much confidence in the Atlantic. It's like, ugh. And I think it's because of what's happening in the Atlantic. The background state is FUBARD, and so we're having weird things going on. But the Pacific seems to be more reliable. So let me just show you what we got. That's 24 hours out. 48, that first system goes by there, no big deal. But then keep your eyes on that right there. That vorticity starts to come together here. This is 3 days out. And finally by day 4 and 5, 6, 7, Brent will still be there. Yeah, that could be really interesting in a very negative way, of course. And then it goes up the Gulf of California, and that has a lot of implications for this area, for heavy rainfall, where the monsoon has already been. Oh, we got to mute the, excuse me while I mute, hopefully, my audio there. We don't want Discord making noise in here. We're almost done. This could have big implications for heavy rain in the desert Southwest. So we're going to watch that. And, of course, Northwest Mexico. Watch that very, very closely here in the coming days. So a lot going on out there, even though there's no named storm. It just goes to show you that there's more to it than just what you see with headlines of a blank August. seasonal forecasts are bust, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know what? Let's look back at everything on November 30th, all right? About 3 months from now. We're only 3 months into the season. And that doesn't mean we're at halfway. We're not even to mid-September. Mid-September is the halfway point climatologically. We're still going up on the old ramp there, so just keep that all in mind, all right? And we'll see what happens over the coming days. All right, let me get this online for you. As always, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, share, make the YouTube algorithms work in our favor. It is fantastic when that happens, and I appreciate the feedback and the comments. A good, smart bunch of you there are out there. Keep it coming. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack. I'll be back with more for you starting again tomorrow morning.